So I have my book Through the Eyes of a Man, and my next book, I actually have two coming out. One is called Driven, Be the Driver of Your Success. And the other one is Be Symbolic. It's a motivational piece, which there's actually going to be a CD as well as a book where people, when they need that daily inspiration or that motivation to drive them, they'll be able to listen to the motivational talks with the music in the background. And it's going to be really, really, really exciting. It's going to be a lot of energy, and it's just going to push people to be their best. And that's what I've been on lately. It's Breast Cancer Survivor Month and Awareness Month. And I see my girl Jocelyn, who's going to be on my show this weekend. All of the supporters, Jonica Witherspoon, Andre, all you guys, thank you for supporting. And it's going to be a good show right now. We're here with you, Roman. I'm glad to be here with you, and just ready to get it in.
Please give a drive at 5. Welcome to Simeon and Henderson. Welcome to the drive. I didn't announce you, did you? Please give intellectualradio.com/iHeartRadio station your background.
So my background is I'm an athlete, and a little bit about my story. A lot of people know my story. A lot of people don't know my story. I had an IEP growing up. I couldn't read till I was in the 6th grade, and people.
Could you identify, just in case? You said the acronym. What is it?
IEP? That's an individual learning plan, evaluation plan. Mm-hmm. That's I wasn't back then. They called it the slow class, or I wasn't as smart as everyone else. But in my eyes, I was just a different learner, and I learned a lot by auditorial. And I was a kinesthetic learner, and hands-on or memorization and things like that. But I was determined not to let someone's opinion become my reality. So I worked really hard along with my mother, a couple of my uncles, and some of my mentors to build and get to where I wanted to be, because I was an athlete. And if you know anything about an athlete, if you didn't play, it was for one or two reasons: either because you were hurt or because of your grades. And I never wanted to be labeled a dumb jock, so I did everything I could and worked extra hard to get to the next level so I could be successful and obtain good grades. And ended up graduating from college. I have a master's degree, and now I speak to thousands of people and learn 100-page scripts. And I've been a TV host, and I'm a host now, and just working hard to continue to be my best.
Tell us a little bit about your book.
So my book. So growing up on the west side of Chicago, in a heavily drug-infested and gang area, it was one of those things where you were expected to fall into that. And my book, it's called Through the Eyes of a Man, and the chapters in my book are titled Facing Your Goliath, Surviving the Wilderness, Walking on Water, Turning Water to Wine. And these are all symbolic of the different trials and tribulations that we go through in life. And the book was comprised of the stories that I've gone through. A lot of people don't know that I was abused, and I went through a form of abuse, physical abuse. And I was told what I couldn't do. So there was a lot of hurt, a lot of pain. I was bullied, and I was bullied, and then I became a bully because hurting people hurt other people. So there was these different levels that I went through in my life, these different times of hurt and pain that pushed me ways that I didn't want to go. But then because of my mom and the love of God and our faith, and me coming from a heavy pastoral background. I come from over 100 years of ministry, from my great-grandfather Hobson Jackson to my grandfather Johnny Jackson to my grandfather Samuel Jackson, my uncle John Joseph Jackson, and then what I do is ministry as well. So just walking by faith, and the book is about walking by faith and not letting somebody's opinion become your reality.
You mentioned hurt people hurt people.
Yes.
That's been said on my show over and over again, and I cringe on that,
right,
because it gives a license to hurt someone,
right,
that basically didn't do anything to you.
Yes.
So could you describe to us, you were bullied, say, well, since I've been bullied, I'm going to bully somebody else, even though they didn't have nothing to
right
do with your abuse.
Right, and this is the tripped out thing about it. You guys got to get the book. I had released my book on my own. I didn't have a publicist or anything like that. I did everything on my own. So now I want to re-release this book to the masses where it can go global. But I was bullied by a girl. I was terrified of this girl, and she would literally slap me upside my head every morning as we sat in the circle at class, and it just got to a point, and I was scared to tell anybody because it's like the man code. You don't tell anybody that a girl is beating you up. That's like it's an unwritten
but
man
at first,
code.
did you think that she liked you?
I didn't know what it was. All I know is she was slapping the heck out of me, and it hurt. So at first I thought maybe she liked me or whatever, but after a while it was no, she was bullying me, and and it's so funny when I wrote my book and I put it out. She was one of the first people to comment on my page because we're adults now, you know, and sometimes as kids we do things and we're not really aware of how it's really making someone feel, and you don't know why someone else is doing what they do because chances are they were being hurt as well.
You mentioned you were bullied, abused, having learning disabilities as well as violence in your book. How did you overcome these obstacles? You mentioned the girl who bullied you, and you decided, well, I'm going to join the club.
Right.
And I mean, how did you overcome the obstacle? How did you get over that? You said recently she inboxed you. Did you say that heifer?
No, I didn't do that.
Was it any animosity? Like,
Nah.
why? How did she find me?
No, it wasn't like that. It was one of those things. I had to really. I think back and I forgave a lot of people for a lot of things, and I kind of forgot about it. You know what I mean?
But how did you overcome that?
And that's the thing. That's the thing. So the way I overcame the bullying, I became a bully. But the way I got out of it, my mother found out. And if you know my mother ain't having that. And it was one of those things where she broke me out of it real quick. So it was having a loving mother that really didn't play that. And you know, it was one of those things where you know how your parents are. You hide things from them. And the way I overcame it was my mom talked to me, laid hands on me a little bit, and said I wasn't raising you to be like that. And then I came out of that, and she said, and then my dad had talked to me. That's when my dad was still alive. He was like, you know, whatever we do, we don't ever put our hands on a woman, right? And he said, if there is a woman that's putting their hands on you, or there's something that's going on, you know, and you have to be the bigger person. So I learned at an early age to be the bigger person, and henceforth, when I was abused physically by an adult, I wouldn't tell anybody. And the reason I wouldn't tell anybody, it was really to protect that person. Because had my dad found out, had my uncles found out, that person probably would have got hurt real bad. And I was protecting the person that was hurting me. Sounds crazy, but it's something that happens in real life.
But what led you to say, I want to protect this person instead of coming out with it?
It's one of those things where you have something in you. Like I said, I've always been a God-fearing man, and I've always been like, my mom always taught me to treat people right. And so at this point, as a young teenager or preteen, I was always trying to help people, and I was always trying to figure out why people did what they did at an early age, and that's why people always say I had an old soul. And then I got to a point where I didn't want to protect anymore. I didn't want to hurt anymore. I wanted to get past it. And I finally said something. And before my mom passed, it was so tripped out that she knew that I was still harboring some feelings towards people and about my father dying. And she told me, she said, son, you got to let it go. And it opened my eyes. And then I started letting things go and learning how to deal with them. Because as black men and men in general, we think we're soft if we open up. If we open up to someone, if we cry, or if we tell somebody we've been hurt, and that's not the truth. We have to open up because we have to let it go. When we let it go, the healing process can begin. And when the healing process begins, we can move forward.
But that's not what society
No.
says. society said you got to hold it in.
Right.
You got to be a man. You're a wimp.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want no man crying. I don't want this, that, and the other. Why should I be with a man that cries?
Right.
Why society as a whole
Um.
put that image, put that stigma out there to people?
It's one of those things where it's an image that's portrayed. A man is supposed to be macho. A man is supposed to be tough. A man is supposed to be able to protect himself, protect his family, protect what's his. And in reality, we are human beings. We're all human beings. We're all flawed. And I always say this, and no one's immune to the trials and tribulations of life. And what we have to understand is that no matter what the world throws at us, there's always a reality. And sometimes we get a false reality when we look at the world, when we look at television. And what we have to do is we have to learn how to decipher what's false and what's real. And in a real world, in a real reality, a real man has feelings. A woman has feelings. Children have feelings. So you need to learn how to express those feelings, because if you don't, you'll suppress them and it'll be bottled up, and at one point in time it might erupt like a volcano, and that's what you don't want. You don't want to erupt, because when you erupt, sometimes the aftermath can be detrimental and catastrophic, and it can hurt people and it can hurt you.
In your book, when you was writing it,
Mm-hmm.
was it hard to rehash those memories?
Oh man.
And your willingness to share it with people. Did you say this is too much to share? This is, and to relive it. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like sometimes when people write memoirs,
Right.
to tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
This is my beginning. This is how I overcame.
Yeah.
This is what, and to relive is sometimes depressing. What, how do you feel about that?
Man, let me tell you, Roman, it's so tripped out. When I was writing my book, there would be days I would sit on the couch and it would be bright outside. And I would get so into it that I would write out, and the lights are off because it's bright and I can see. And I would be home by myself and I would just keep writing, keep typing. And the sun goes down and I'm so in it that I don't even get up to turn the light on. And I'm writing in the dark or typing in the dark. And there were times when I cried. There were times when I laughed. There were times when I was like, oh, I can't believe that it really happened to me. And so there was a plethora of emotions that ran through my mind. There was different emotions, different ups and downs as I went through the journey of telling the story. And dig this, I haven't even told the whole story yet. This book does not tell the whole story. This tells part of the story. I got another part of the story that will absolutely blow your mind. And I just not ready to do it yet.
To be continued in the next book, right?
Hey, everybody watching.
From acting, television host, personality, motivational speaker, educator, now author, why you think it's important to tell your personal story now versus later? Everything's going well with you. Mm-hmm. You're in commercials. You're even in a union commercial.
Yep.
Why now?
And I've been out picketing for the last 3 days with the CTU.
Yeah, but why now to tell your story? Why? Versus later to say
it's time. It's time.
Why do you think it's time?
I think it's time because if you pay attention to the world and what's going on, and you look at when you open up, okay, it's like you have to have a dream, right? And you have to have purpose, and you have to have goals. But you know what the most important thing is? And this is what I like about intellectual radio and Earl. You have to be connected to your purpose. You have to be connected to your goals. You have to be connected. And I think that's where people miss it. One thing I was at a group, I was at an event last night, and people were coming up to me, speaking to me, I didn't even know. And then some of them I knew. And one person said to me, and I hadn't seen this person in maybe 10 years, and they were like, one thing about you, you have stayed consistent. I don't care how far you go back. I don't care what you look at. I've been consistent in what I say, what I do, the way I treat people, the way I talk to people, the way I present myself to people. And I think it's so important for like right now, there's so much going on in this world. We need something good. We need something positive. We need something inspiring. We need something motivational and educational. And I won't come off of it, Roman. I won't come. Earl will tell you, since I started doing the show at Intellectual Radio, before I started working for WCIU, before I was on Netflix, before I started doing my own show, I was always speaking positive. Always. If you can go back years on my Facebook timeline, you'll always see the same thing. And the thing about that, Roman, is people sometimes change and divert because they want views, because they want popularity. And I didn't care if there was one person or 100 people watching, my story was staying the same. And now people are watching every morning and they're being inspired. And they say, how do you come up with inspirational stuff every day? It's because I'm connected. It's because I'm connected to you. I'm connected to them. I'm connected to my maker. I'm connected to the spirit that's within me that makes me want to just help people and be there for people.
You are a product of the West Side and proud of it. At times,
West Side.
Go ahead and say it. This is you.
I was going to say West Side till I die.
You are a product of the West Side and proud of it. At times, you get angry because West Side is kind of falsely characterized.
How you know that? How'd you know that about me?
I do my research.
Okay, because I
do. By others from other areas in the city. Please tell us about that.
So the thing that
it bugs you.
The thing that bugs me the most is when people say, Simeon, you don't look like you're from the West Side. And then, but one of my good friends, Mark Harris, he'll say, oh no, if you know Simeon, you know he's from the West Side. And I always tell people, what does somebody from the West Side look like? What do we sound like? What's the difference? My nickname is Mr. Chicago. Chicago is east, west, north, south, suburbs. And me, I'm well-traveled. I am a city boy. But I just think that we need to stop categorizing each other and where we're from and just look at who we are, because you have good parts of the West Side, good parts of the South Side, bad parts of the South Side, bad parts of the West Side, bad parts of any place in the world. So let's just look at the people for who they are and stop saying West Side. But I'll rep my side in a minute. I thought the W was in a minute. So West Side.
You mentioned your struggles in the book throughout your life and at times thought about giving up.
Oh, man. Please.
Let's say someone who's listening now on intellectualradio.com/iHeart radio station who is struggling right now and made sacrifices. You made sacrifices throughout your life. What advice would you give them that's in your book? You said you have overcome some of these obstacles. You overcame. You did what you had to do. What advice would you give them? People are going through the same struggle of being bullied, abused, learning disabilities.
Face your giants.
How?
You got to face your giants. How do you face your giants? You have to face, first of all, you have to be honest. You have to tell the truth. You have to accept the fact that it's a giant. You have to accept the fact that it's a roadblock or a hindrance. You have to accept the fact that it's something that makes you uncomfortable. Something that slows you down. Something that gives you that, oh, wait a minute. And then you know what you have to say to yourself, Roman? What is it worth to me? What is that breath in your body worth? What is the activity of your limbs worth? What is the ability to smell flowers and eat and see and communicate with people? What is it worth to you? And when you think about what it's worth to you, if it's worth something, it's worth fighting for. If it's worth fighting for, that means it means something to you. And when you can face your giants and you can have a be symbolic moment, as I call it, when you, because it means being deeply rooted stimulates growth. When you can dig deep and you can, and just, you dig deep and you, it's like being a cowboy. Sometimes you got to strap on and you got to hold on tight and you got to ride it out.
But some people would say, I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of fighting. I have given it all I have got. I mean, it's kind of like every time there's a roadblock, every time I turn around, there's something, health wise. Every time I get a little bump up or a notch or a step up, it knocks me back down. Every time financial increase,
Right.
Here comes something in my life. Here's this, here's that, blah, blah, blah. I'm tired of fighting. I mean, I got my daughter, my son, got him on the right path. Here comes somebody, introduced him to drugs, introduced her to prostitution, introduced, a whole slew of things. What I'm saying is, sometimes the fight is out of you. How they can gain that fight back. You talk about obstacles, overcoming. You do a lot of motivational every single morning that I watch. And you're very positive. But if someone is losing, like the wind is knocked out of them, you say fight, face the giant. I'm tired of the giant. I'm tired of fighting.
So that's when I go back to this. When I go back to that, no one is immune to the trials and tribulations of life. That means that you're going to get knocked down. Hell, you're going to get knocked out sometimes. And I'm talking about you're going to be reeling. But that's when you have to dig deeper. That's when you have to understand your greater purpose. That's when you have to lean on your brother, lean on your sister. You have to call on people. See, that's where it becomes a team thing. When you can't fight no more, you got to find somebody that can and lift you up. You got to find somebody who's going to be in your corner. You got to find somebody who understands the fight. You have to be around like-minded people. They say iron sharpens iron. So you need to get around some iron. You got to get away from wood. You need some iron. You need something that's going to sharpen you up. You have to know that you need help. You have to be willing to get help. And you have to be willing to take help. I always say, I did a thing one time that says, today the motivator needs to be motivated. I have times when I cry and no one sees it. Everybody sees me smiling. Everybody sees me happy. Everybody sees me motivating. But they don't see, Roman, when I'm by myself in a gym and I have a breakdown. Or if I'm in the shower and I have a breakdown. Or I'm driving my car and I have a breakdown. But when that breakdown is over, I look at myself in the mirror and I know who I am. I know my worth and I know my purpose. And when you know that, you can start over and you can continue to build. But you have to know it and you have to accept it and you have to be able to call on your brother, call on your sisters, call on your friends, those people who really, really, really rock with you and want to see you do what it is that you do.
What you want the reader to take out of your book once they read it? What information you want them to obtain by reading your book?
I want people to know that no matter what you've gone through, no matter where you're from, no matter where you're at the end of the day, if you stay consistent and committed, if you stay faithful and focused, if you dig deep, that you'll grow. It's like seed time and harvest. If you plant a seed and you water it and you cultivate it, it'll grow. And that's what I want people to get, that no matter what obstacles come your way, you will grow. And you have to be ready for the fight.
To be continued, how can people get your book and get in contact with you?
People can get in contact with me at Simeon Henderson 9. Let me give you guys my professional email now.
Oh, you're so professional.
Yeah, that's it. Man, I'm real. People know I'm real. The Simeon Henderson Show at gmail.com is easy. The Simeon Henderson Show at gmail.com or Simeon Henderson 9 at gmail.com. Simeon Henderson on all social media platforms. I am always traveling. I'm always speaking. If you need a word, if you need to be encouraged, you can reach out. The one thing about me is I'm reachable and I'm touchable. No matter what I've done, where I'm at, I'm connected to the people. And that's how I live my life. And I won't change it for anything in the world. And I appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys continue to support my brother Roman on the drive at 5. And make sure you tune into the Simeon Henderson Show. And big shout out to my man Earl, the other Winfrey at Intellectual Radio, who gave me my start, not only in radio, but in a lot of knowledge in this business.
Yeah. Sometimes he has to get in my head and say, "You don't." No, I'm sure. But for being on the show, we're gonna present your book to our sister Facebook, which you're, I think you're associated with it. But if not, we will hook you up. Black Products and Black Services, so you can advertise your books and your products anytime, anywhere, any place, courtesy of your man Earl Winfrey. When we come back, don't be a stranger though, man.
Hey, I'm always. I came in the door. Earl said, "Welcome home." Hey, that's all I gotta hear, baby. All I gotta hear, and he know I still gotta come around because I still got stuff stored in his back.
When we come back on the Drive at 5 on intellectualradio.com/iHeart radio station, we'll have the one and only Sharon Chester and Ali Cremera, contestants of Miss Western Lady USA US, when we come back on the Drive at 5.
Peace out.
Thanks.
See you guys later.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
right.
What's up, y'all? Thanks for tuning in. How's everybody doing? I was just on the Drive at 5 with my man Roman.
I did?
See everybody tuning in. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thank you. Hey, check out the book. All right? You already know what it is. I'll see you guys later. I love you guys. Be somebody. Peace.